Just a quick one before we dive in. I've just opened up 2 brand new ways to work with me. If you're an established beauty professional who's ready to increase your revenue, either in your clinic or by moving into the online mentoring and educational space, you can join me for a 2-month container where we build and validate your first online offer or your next big move. Or if you're ready to go all in, there is a 7-month private mentorship where we build, launch and scale your new revenue stream together. If you're not sure which one's right for you, I'm offering a handful of free business clarity calls, quick and powerful to map out your fastest path and to see which container fits best. Just DM me the word revenue on Instagram or check the link in the show notes and email me. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook. Hello, gorgeous people, and welcome back to another episode. Happy 2024. Oh my goodness, happy new year. It feels incredible to say that. And this year is probably, I don't know, I feel like it's the first year that I'm super excited. Although that sounds wrong. I am always excited for New Year. But normally I'm like, oh my goodness, this year has gone so fast. It's horrendous how quickly it's gone. And I don't know. I'm actually one of those people that gets a little bit funny and down in the dumps and stuff after the new year because I would say I feel like it's a bit of an anti-climax and I'm like, oh God, yeah, we've just got to carry on and crack on. So normally I get a bit like that, but this year I feel slightly different and I don't really think I can put my finger on why. I think I'm not 100% sure. I think it's because I've been prioritising self-care. I've been prioritising family and I've been really trying to live with all of my values and my intrinsic kind of goals and values at the forefront of my brain rather than looking for external validation. And I do think it helps. So yeah, I feel like that's why maybe I feel slightly different this new year. But nonetheless, happy blooming new year. I hope you've had such a nice time. I hope you managed to get a little bit of a break in. And I know many of you probably didn't because we're in the beauty industry. And I remember when I was seeing clients, it was kind of like, can you fit me in for New Year's? So you'd always work in between Christmas and New Year. But I hope you didn't. I hope you were one of the ones that didn't and enjoyed some time off and actually got to enjoy the festivities and the fun stuff and the parties and all the rest of it yourself, because it's so much better when you are rested. Like if you actually have a proper rest, I feel like the brain and the creativity starts to flow again. So yeah, I hope you had a really good rest and some time off. Even if you just had some time off before Christmas and then got back into it, I hope you did have some time off because otherwise you're just burning the candle at both ends. Today, I wanted to, of course, come on the podcast and talk to you all about setting your goals for 2024. And I know that a lot of you beauty pros might have already done this for the new year. And yeah, I just wanted to do that because it's just super important. If you haven't done it, if you have done it, it's important to stay on track. It's important to make sure that you know exactly how you want your year to look and how you're going to implement those goals as you go forward. And yeah, just to make sure that you can have the best, most amazing year in your beauty business and in your life. So before we actually look at setting goals, if you know me by now, you probably know that I'm going to tell you to have a little look at how far you've come, because how important is it to give yourself a pat on the back, have a bit of reflection time and, you know, think about what have I achieved this year? What kind of challenges came my way? You know, throughout the year, you know, what did I actually have to overcome? What did I learn? What were the highlights and the lessons? And, you know, we really need to look back and feel all the feelings that are involved in in everything that happened and led us to where we are now, because each little part of your journey is super important to be celebrated and learnt from. You might think, oh, well, this happened and that was a failure, but that, it's not to be looked at that way. It's to be like, right, okay, I can take this from that and I can learn from it, and this is how I'm going to move forward with it. So every single little thing in your journey, I just think, have a breather, think about it all. And actually, you'll probably be super overwhelmed when you do look at every single thing that you achieved and what you went through. When you look at it all in one big thing, like if I was to say to you to write down January to December exactly what happened and all the milestones and the highs and the lows and all the rest of it, it'd be quite a lot. You would fill so many pages with writing down everything that happened, I bet. So you just have to remember that you did that. You got yourself to where you are now. I'm sure no one did anything for you. If you're a beauty pro and you're self-employed and you're running your business mobile or salon-based or home-based or, whatever, you are running that business, and it's all about how you show up, and it's all about how you push through different learning curves and, deal with different client situations, and how you navigate the business and how you navigate your time management when things crop up. And, if you're a mum like me, you probably had loads of things crop up and get in the way of what you thought the week might look like. So, yeah, I really encourage you so much to seriously reflect on everything, every single thing that happened, and do a thorough assessment of the year and identify those areas. And when you're thinking about exactly what happened, this kind of like the way I would do it, I'd probably do myself a little exercise, and I'm a bit visual, so I'll look for all my photos on my phone. I'll go back through the whole year and I'll think, oh my gosh, yes, and I remember this and I remember that. And I'll take things from photos, then I'll look at the system, and I would have looked at my sales for the year, and I would have looked at all of my stats and everything for clients and retail and appointments and all the rest of it. I would literally comb through all of the important areas to me that remind me of everything that's happened in my year. So that'll be different for you, but I think those are just a little idea for you there, bits of, bobs that I would do. Once you've done that and you've written everything down and you've got an idea of what happened, then I would decide, what I'm learning from it and what the highlights were. And if anything needs to be celebrated that wasn't, I'd make a note to celebrate and how I'm going to celebrate. And then I would literally think, right, what are the areas of improvement? What can I improve on this year? What can I let go of? That's number one. What do I want to take with me and continue and improve on? And what do I want to delegate? So it'd literally be, let's learn from last year. What can I let go of? What can I take with me and make better? And what can I kind of take with me but delegate and I don't really need to make it better? Or what can I take with me and it's going to stay as it is because we absolutely loved it? Those are the kind of things I would do. Have a little look through, be really thorough, and then identify those areas for you for improvement for 2024. And then that way you're setting yourself up in a way that feels really good to you as well, And it's all about feeling aligned to how you want that life to look, how you want the business to look, and going for it. So that's the first thing I would do. And the second thing I would do is to actually set the goals. So like what happened. We've had a really cool reflection. We know what's been going on. And then it's time to set the goals. Yeah, it's like, let's set some SMART goals. And if you haven't been around here for a long time and heard me talking about goals before, you'll know, firstly, I speak in SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So every single goal has to be SMART. And then I would make sure that I'm doing my sort of master list of goals for the year. And I normally do this way before the new year anyway, but as it's the 2nd of Jan and as it's new year and maybe you haven't done it yet, and that's fine, maybe you've been super busy, I thought let's just go over this type of thing anyway. But I would normally do it in the kind of, I'd have like a big master list for my yearly goals. It might be 5 big goals or 4 big goals. And then I would break that down into the quarters of the year. So it's like, okay, January to March, what do I want to get done in these 3 months? And then it would be the following 3, and then the following 3, and the following 3. So each quarter of the year, I would know what I was doing, and then I could break those quarterly goals down into each month of that quarter, so that I knew that I had my main priorities focused on, listed out, and then I'd break it down into the action steps that are going to get me there for that week, and for that whole month. When you do it that way, I feel like that is when you realise, like, how much energy does this type of thing really deserve? If I want to get a big result out of this, if I really want this goal, and it requires, it's a big thing or whatever, then the bigger it is, the more it's going to require from you, right? And setting your goals like that and going through them, I find really helps you identify which goals need more of your effort, urgency, and patience. So you can start planning that into your diary and start planning it into your schedule in the either it's in, like, your working hours, your client facing hours, or it's time out of the business or whatever. And that is what I would be doing. I'd be setting my SMART goals ready for the new year. And yeah, ideally, I think I start doing mine in about October. So yeah, and then I just solidify them in, just before the new year. I really get into it and solidify everything just before the new year. And I absolutely love doing it because it gets you into the really good headspace of setting your goals and setting yourself up for success in the new year. So yeah, that is what I would do. And the other thing is that I wanted to talk about is, when is a good time to strategize for your business growth? Right, so different to your goals, like we know what the goals are, but within that we need to think about, okay, so how are we, like, this is a really good time. So how are we looking at what marketing strategies we're going to be using this year to get to those goals, to attract the clients, to retain our existing clients? How are we going to be looking at new ways to enhance the customer experience? How are we going to be looking at new ways to build a bit more loyalty in our beauty business? And I think because the industry is super evolving all the time, I'm kept on my toes. I barely do clients anymore, and it keeps you on your toes, doesn't it? You're always looking at what's going on and what's trending, and there's always new things, new techniques, or new news, just new stuff all the time in this industry. So I think it's super important to stay up to date with what's going on. Super important as well to invest in your development, your business development, your growth, and your personal growth as a person. And so these things, and when you come to think about strategies and how to keep growing as a business and as a person, regardless of what goals you've got, when you actually sit down and think about how we're going to get there and the strategies behind it, I feel like you get so much fun out of it because you can get creative, you can see what's going on, and you can have, like, open up these new ideas and start brainstorming about, okay, how are we going to get in front of these new clients, and how are we going to keep our existing ones? How are we going to make it more exciting for them this year? And I just would say have fun with it. Have fun with it and trust your gut as well. That's another really important one, I would say, is in this new year period where you feel like you're already on a high and you've done your goals and you've reflected and you know how great you are because you know how amazing your last year was and everything you did to get there. Just have fun with it and think outside the box, and be different and stand out, but also trust your gut and the fact that you know who you are and what you stand for, and you stick by it. And don't get sucked into anything crazy that you're thinking shiny object syndrome, Don't get sucked into all of that. Just keep your head in the game, stay strong to who you are, and really have fun with the strategies. And start growing from the off. How exciting is that as well, that you get to have a little think and a brainstorm and everything's in your control. I just love that about being a business owner. You get to sit down and think about, right, I want my year to look like this. Imagine when, we're stuck working for other people still and whatnot, and not being able to do any of this and not having the control over the way our lives look. Ugh, we don't want that. And that's why we're here. That's why we're beauty business owners. That's why we went self-employed. That is why we decided to try and do our absolute best in this industry, because we want to control our own diaries. We want to have freedom. We want to be flexible. We want to have fun. We want to be creative. So you get to do all of that. I just think that's super exciting. So I would definitely be getting into the strategies right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting into all of that for the podcast. I'm getting into all of that for the coaching business. I'm getting into all of that for the year. And whatever it looks like to you, it might look completely different. And there might be things, and this is why it's really important to reflect as well about how you feel the year went. Because for me, this is just a little sidetrack. For me, things are going to be different this year because there are just so many things that I don't want to do. You know, so it doesn't always have to be about everything that you want to do and more. It's actually super important to do what I said at the beginning and actually look back and decide, what do I want to let go of first and foremost? That is the first thing I do. It's literally, what do I want to let go of? And then it's, what do I want to take forward with me and make better? Because so many things that you just realize that, you know, you don't want to continue doing that. And that's, this year is hopefully, fingers crossed, going to look different for me because there are going to be more boundaries upheld. There's going to be a lot more family time. There's going to be a lot more organisation from me, hopefully, fingers blooming crossed. Because, yeah, I think my priority this year is definitely more self-care, more balance again, because I always preach about balance and, you know, finding that, not that I think that there's a perfect work-life balance, and I don't think that women can, you know, work and have it all at the same time. I just don't think we can do that. I used to think that maybe we could, but I definitely don't think it anymore. I have thought over the last few years, you know, we can have it all, we can do these things, but I don't think we can do it all at the same time. It's just not enough hours in the day, and there's not enough of us to go around. We would be completely burnt out if we tried to do absolutely everything all at the same time. So for me, it's more about, you know, figuring out the self-care routines, the morning routines again, and making sure I'm really strong with those this year, and making sure that that is really key and top of the priority list, is making sure that, you know, even if it's journaling in the morning or getting up and doing a meditation or going for a walk or making sure I'm at the gym again by 6 a.m, that kind of thing, to prevent the burnout and just maintain that overall like well-being and that good positive headspace. And it's so important for you as a beauty professional, somebody who's always facing people, somebody who's always putting other people first and prioritizing helping other people to feel good and look good. And in this industry, I've said it before, I'll say it again, we bend over backwards for people, we fit people in, we work out of hours, we end up, you know, basically running ourselves down to help other people in this industry. So that's why it's so important for you guys to really realize that significance of looking after yourself. Okay, because you're in such a people-pleasing mode most of the time. And, you know, whether you've got kids or whether you don't have kids, I'm pretty sure most of the beauty professionals that I ever come across and speak to are always telling me that, you know, they get super burnt out. They get really run down, especially towards the busy times. And in the new year, probably just about catch your breath and then you've got to go again. So I think about, once you've done your goals and you've done everything else with your strategies and that, think about how you're going to look after yourself. How are you going to look after yourself this year? 2024, new year, new me, all of that very cliche stuff. And have a bit of a kind of habit tracker in place. That's the best way I find that I can do it. So in my planner, I've got a daily, you know, tracker for my habits and a weekly tracker for my habits so that I can see, and I can change them every week if I wanted to, but it's, you know, just silly things that we would often overlook. But they make such a difference, you know, they're not silly, they're small, but they're significant. They make such a difference. And it's all about that, you know, it's all about my favourite book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, where he says, you know, it's all about the fact that it's small things over time that create the big results. And this is what these small habits do. They're very, very simple. They're very easy to overlook. But over a long period of time, if we didn't do them, it'd be very detrimental. And over a long period of time, if we do them, it could be very, very significant to growth, or to health, or to wealth, or to whatever it is, depending on the habit. But that's the kind of strategy, if you like, that I put in place to make sure I've got that healthy personal life, personal boundaries, personal goals actually running alongside the business goals. Because I always say there is no point in having business goals if you don't have personal goals, because there's no point having a business that's like, you know, crazy successful if you feel like you've got no life at all, and that you're just living to work. That, I don't think that's cool. I mean, you might, but I don't think it is. So that's what I would be doing. And I think the last thing I would be doing is thinking about how we're going to make sure that this happens, like how we're going to stay motivated, how we're going to overcome anything that comes our way. So I'd probably at this point, and this is what I normally do if I sit down and do my quarterly goals, I think about like, well, what might happen? What common things normally crop up in my life? And for me, it's like, well, I know that the school holidays are going to be July and August. So I know that my working hours are going to have to change. I know, these type of things, and that'll probably be different for you in your beauty business and in your life, but you might be able to relate with me. But what are the common things that come up? What are my predicted kind of good months? What are my predicted sort of dodgy months? When am I normally faced with these things, and what kind of solutions can I put in place to be prepared? Prepare for things that might happen. Are there other things that I want to prepare for that could crop up that might be a little bit more unexpected, but could definitely crop up? What am I going to do this year if all of a sudden Mary moves away like Janice did this year, and I lose one of my really big high paying clients that comes every 2 weeks? What am I going to do if I lose my Instagram account? No, you're not going to, but you know what I mean? All of these little things that you think, well, what am I doing? How am I going to make sure this happens? How can I overcome any challenges that might crop up? And how can I stay on track and stay motivated and just have some ideas of solutions? I think it's such a good idea to make sure that you're prepared. Definitely. Because, I think there are times when there are people that will set their goals or set their New Year's resolutions, and by February they're finished, but if you have a tracker, and this one of the best things I do with my one-to-one clients is we have a tracker. Every one-to-one client I work with, I send them my tracker. It's obviously pre-made, it's all mine, and that is the one thing sometimes that people say that's helped me maintain this when normally I would have fallen off, or normally I would have gone full pelt, run, and then stopped and gotten burnt out and stopped what I was doing and forgotten about the end goals and just thought, oh my God, this is hard. So having a sort of tracker, that tracks everything, but you track what you want to track, right? In your business and with your habits and with your strategies, track everything. And that's the best thing I can say, actually. Now that I've just said that, I'm just thinking, yeah, that is literally the best thing I can say to you that helps people stay on track and get to their goals throughout the year. And then they look back and they can see everything on this tracker. This specific one tracks the whole year. It's month by month, and it's all the activity, and then it's all the results. So you can really see that where the results come from too. This is the kind of tracker I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into that, blimey. But I just thought I'd mention that is one of the best ways. Tracking is great because what we track grows. So I'll just leave that one there. But the main point of this episode today is to let you all know that I'm super excited for 2024. I hope you are as well. It's so important to look back at how far you've come and then set your SMART goals and then think about your strategies. Because if you're not looking back, how are you going to know what you want to take with you and what you want to let go of? And then if you're not setting your goals smartly, then how are you going to strategize and how are you going to get everything into your schedule? And then obviously not forgetting to look after yourself and prepare. And that's it. I think that's the best kind of way to start a new year. So I definitely encourage you guys that are listening to take some action, start implementing some of those things, start looking at your goals if you haven't already. And if you have done a little bit of the goal work, but something you heard today through this episode with me made you think that you want to track it differently, or you want to start tracking, or I don't know, you want to implement something else specific that I've gone through, then crack on and get that bit done. If you need any more from me, you can make sure that you're in the Beauty Build Facebook group. It's always linked in the description, and that is where I provide support for free for people in the beauty industry. So you can find me in there and I will support you along the journey. And obviously you can reach out to me on socials if you want to. I'm always available for a quick chat. But thank you so much for joining me all of 2023 and for being here on the first episode of 2024. Super excited for the upcoming year ahead, and I can't wait to see where it takes everybody, where it takes the Beauty Build podcast. And yeah, I'm just wishing you all the most positive, the most fulfilling, the most amazing year for 2024 in your life and in your beauty business. That is all from me today. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.